In this video, I'll show you how to set up Rust graphics the right way and how to boost your FPS. I tested every single setting and ran over 50 benchmarks to get the best results. Before the optimization, I was getting around 35 frames per second at the outpost. After tweaking the settings, I managed to hit 97 on a full server. Near big bases, the game stayed close to 100, and that's on a pretty average PC. Now let's go step by step and set up Rust for the smoothest experience. Let's start with the basics. First thing you should always do is turn off head bob. This setting adds pointless screen shake while you are running and only makes movement feel worse. Next, make sure to disable hurt punch as well. It adds extra camera shake when you take damage and also comes with unnecessary sound effects, so turning it off is a must. In the nudity section, choose underwear. This is the most optimal option. A bit lower, just set everything the same way I have it. Now let's move on to audio. Here I recommend setting master volume slightly higher than game sounds, so you can hear headshot sounds much louder. Set your screen resolution to Full HD or 2K but not higher. For the FPS limit, I set it to the maximum. VSync should be turned off. Enable limit FPS in menu and limit FPS in background. This way, when the game is minimized, it uses fewer PC resources. Now we move on to the most interesting part, graphics settings. First is render scale. At a value of 0.5, the image looks way too blurry, so we set it to 1.0. Shader level. It controls the quality of terrain rendering. Based on test results, the most optimal value is 3. NVIDIA DLSS, in theory, is frame generation, and for some people this feature works correctly, but for me personally it does not change anything at all, so I turn it off. Next is NVIDIA DLAA. It is a specific type of anti-aliasing that does not affect FPS much, but personally I do not like it, because there are better alternatives that I will show later. NVIDIA Reflex. This setting is supposed to reduce input lag in the game. We trust the developers and turn it on. As for latency marker, it is only needed for testing, so we turn it off. Pixel light count, and what can I say? I tested it in different locations, turned it on and off, but I did not notice any visual difference. At the same time, in some moments my FPS dropped a bit, so we turned this setting off. Next, particle raycast. For now this setting does not work, so we turn it off. And soft particles we definitely turn on, because it makes burning objects look clearer, while not affecting FPS. Volumetric clouds is a relatively new setting. In short, based on benchmark results, the difference between turned off and ultra settings is about 4 frames per second. For me that matters, so I turn it off. Draw distance. Here I ran 3 benchmarks at the most popular values: 500, 1500 and 2500. Based on the results, the best performing distance was 1500, with an average FPS of 94. Next, water reflections and quality. These are probably very performance-heavy settings, which can take away anywhere from 10 to 30 FPS, so I set them to the lowest values. Next, grass shadows. This setting makes the map darker and costs around 8 FPS, but since Rust is a PvP game, I prefer better visibility over shadows, so I turn it off. Grass displacement, turn it on, because this is a useful setting that removes grass under objects, which makes spotting and looting them easier. Precise terrain doesn't work yet, turn it off. Next is texture quality. After testing all the options, half resolution turned out to be the most stable, so we'll stick with it. Anisotropic filtering mainly affects the quality of buildings and terrain. It doesn't have much impact on FPS, so set it to the same value for optimal results. Parallax mapping is responsible for fake surface depth in simple terms. It makes textures look more 3D. I tried to spot any differences, looked at every pixel, but honestly saw no visual change at all, so we're turning it off. Next up is one of the most important settings, shadows. Here's the one preset I can actually recommend. Set everything to the lowest values and you'll get this pixelated shadow. To improve it, type graphics.shadow mode 2 in the console. That gives you soft shadows that barely affect your FPS. You can also add this command to the game's launch option, so it's always applied automatically. Let's move on to graphics quality. First setting is decor quality. I tested it back and forth and didn't see any real difference, so might as well turn it off. Grass quality controls how far the grass is rendered. Not really something we need, go ahead and turn it off. Next up, terrain quality. It slightly changes the ground geometry at long distances. Costs around 3 to 4 FPS, not worth it, turn it off. Max tree meshes. If you set it to the lowest value, some trees in dense forests will look low quality. Benchmark results show the FPS difference is small, so you can set it a bit higher without any problem. Tree quality is a bit trickier. To keep it simple, the sweet spot for visuals and FPS is around 150. Object quality has a big impact on both FPS and visuals. The ideal value here is 100. Load bias controls how far things like animals, barrels, recyclers and airdrops are rendered. The optimal value is 0.7. Particle quality just makes furnace smoke look nicer, that's about it. So yeah, just turn it off. Effects is an important tab. It can really improve how your game looks. Let's start with anti-aliasing. There are 3 different modes here. Once again, I ran some benchmarks, and here are the results. For me, the difference was just 3 FPS. I went with TSS-AA since it looks the best to my eye, but that's just personal preference. I played without anti-aliasing for 3 years, and it was totally fine. So, the choice is yours. But all the other settings are just there to build the atmosphere, so I'll focus only on the most important ones. And the first one is sharpness. It makes the image clearer and easier on the eyes. Make sure to turn it on. Next up, the very controversial motion blur. It makes movement look smoother and a bit blurry, which can feel like higher FPS, but if you turn it off, the image gets sharper, though low FPS will look way choppier. All I can say is, give it a try. As for me, I keep it on. Next, the experimental. We turn off the first option and the second one too. It just adds extra shadows on your hands. Processor affinity. Turn it on, but only if you've got an X3D processor. And as for the buffer, always set it to maximum. But there's still a whole layer of important settings we haven't covered, like BIOS tweaks, Windows setup, drivers, lowering input lag, internet optimization, and even RAM and CPU overclocking. All of that gets tuned specifically for your PC. That's what our 15-minute optimization service is for. Our team gets on a personal Discord call with you and safely optimizes your system for the best performance and stable FPS. We've been doing this for over 3 years, mainly for international clients. More than 500 players have already seen real improvements in their gameplay. We offer a 1 to 3 month guarantee, and if your FPS doesn't go up, we give you your money back.